What I'm going to attempt to show you today on this video clip is how to tie a very simple, what I call Bog Standard Parachute fly. And you can use the same technique to tie any number of other parachute patterns. First thing to do is lay down a bed of touching turns of thread, just to give yourself something to work with. You can cut that end off or you can snap it off. This is only 70 denier thread, so it's pretty easy to snap. And bring the thread back to where you want the point of origin of your parachute post, which is approximately there. I like to leave just a small gap here, because that makes room for the post and also for the head of the mayfly. Real mayflies don't have the wings coming out of their head, they have the wings coming out of their thorax. And take a piece of poly yarn and double it over the hook and take one horizontal wrap around, and at this point you can position the wing where you want it. There's the post now in place. There we go. Just to secure it, we're going to hold the post tight and make a few tight wraps of thread around the post, and also just cover up the white colour of the post in the body itself. In this fly we're going to just use the thread itself as the body. No dubbing, no complexity, just the thread, which gives you a very simple, very slim and sparse pattern. Now, one of the things that people have a lot of trouble with these parachutes is winding the thread up the post, and there's a trick to it. You will notice that the thread is stretchy. So you stretch the thread tight when you can hold the post, and you back off the tension slightly when you have to let go, but you never let the thread go actually completely slack, and that makes it a lot easier. And you'll see you can go quite a long way up this post without running into a problem. And then we're going to take some wraps down, touching turns down to the hook again. So there's your post in place. This is a nice area to tie your hackle into. You shouldn't be tying the hackle into a tiny little space. On a standard dry fly you'd be winding the hackle about that distance there. Whoops, there we go. Okay. You want a similar height on your parachute post. You don't need quite as much hackle, because obviously it floats better with the hackle horizontal than it does with the hackle spun vertically. I'm then going to take some genetic, in this case black cock hackle. This is a piece of a saddle hackle. Trim the base of the hackle and tie in with one wrap of thread just to hold it in place. Then kick the hackle up with the thread as you wind it up onto the post, almost to the top. You'll find it much easier if you don't go all the way to the top when you come to wind the hackle. And there's your hackle tied in, ready to wind. Touching turns of thread down the length of the hook shank. You'll notice that I didn't cut off that hackle stalk, because it helps build the tape of the body. This one's actually a little bit long, so we're just going to trim it now. Once you're almost at the bend of the hook, it's time to tie the tail. We're going to use some Coq de Leon feathered fibers here. They're very versatile, they're long, they've got a lovely mottled, shiny mottled finish to them, and I use them on a lot of dry fly. Irrespective of the colour of the fly, it doesn't seem to make that much difference. Tie the hackle in a little bit longer than that. That's good. 2, 3, 4 wraps just to the end of the level portion of the hook shank. And at this point I'm going to trim off the remaining hackle fibers just behind the post. We're going to use that to help form the body. Touching turns of thread. As I said, if you want a more bulky looking fly, you can, whoops, there we go, hit the camera, You can use thicker thread, you can use a dub body. So there we have the tail in, very simple thread body to the fly. I'm going to take the thread around the front of the post and just build a small distinct head, because the mayflies have real heads. This is a critical point, that's what I did there. The last wrap is around the post. That transfers the rotation of the thread from being on a vertical plane to horizontal plane, and we're going to want that when we wind the hackle in. You also make it easier if you tip the hook down slightly at this juncture, because we're going to wind the hackle. Notice there's a little bare piece of hackle stalk right at the very base. Again, that makes it much easier to wind the hackle neatly. It's much more difficult for me at the moment with the camera in the way, and I have to sort of cheat a little bit here and work shorter than I normally would. But start, and I'm having to avoid the camera lens, touching turns of hackle, gradually working your way down the post. And you can usually 3 or 4 turns of hackle on a parachute is normally enough, and make 1 turn of thread around the base of the post, and that will hold the hackle in place. There, look. Okay. No hackle pliers there. Just going to trim that rest of the hackle off. Try not to nick the fibres that you want to keep. And then we're going to do a super glue whip finish. It's an extremely simple, neat way of finishing off your fly, and very durable. Just moisten 5 millimeters of the thread. Take 1-2 wraps of thread around the base of the post. Support the fly with your thumbnail and pull the thread nice and tight for a couple of seconds. And trim the thread off. There we go. We're just going to check to see if there are any fibres caught that are pointing downwards. There's a couple on this side. We're going to clip out, and there's a couple more on this side here. I don't want to trim off the ones that I want. There we go. Lastly, grab the wing, trim the wing to size, and there you have it. A bog standard black mayfly parachute pattern. You can use exactly the same techniques for tying any number of other parachute patterns. You change the colour of the body, the wing, anything you like to suit. I tie these flies right down to size 20. This is a size 14 because it's just a little bit more easy to photograph for you. And there it is. The black bog standard parachute pattern. See, it's very simple, very quick to tie.